Yes, devotees, Hare Krishna to all of you, and welcome to our Sunday program. And I'm very happy to be with you again on this Sunday program. A number of you are here in attendance. I heard that some devotees, friends, will come in just before the arati. Is that correct? Was I informed correctly? Just before the arati, or maybe during the arati. And when I first joined in England, early 1970s, we had a special name, you could say, for those people. And they're nice, at least they come, as opposed to not coming. But those who come just before the arati finishes. And what's after the arati? Tell me. Prasadam. Yes. So those who come right at the end, when the pujari is offering the chamara, or in summer at least the fan. So we would call them, those ones who come in when the fan is being offered, we would call them members of Krishna's fan club. Because at least they come, which is better than not coming, that's for sure. But thank you for all being here on time and participating, really taking an interest in Krishna consciousness. It's very nice. Right, so you know what? I have been ordered to say something a bit further about a subject we discussed, not last night, but the night before, Friday night. That subject is the demons in Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes and the anathas they represent, which is a very important subject, actually, because we all have anathas. Well, first of all, what is an anatha? Perhaps many of you are aware, but the basic term is artha, or artha, strictly speaking, A-R-T-H-A. And artha means something valuable, useful, something of real value and like some nice thing. That's artha, but anatha means something which is useless or even detrimental. So in this case, talking mainly about different types of attitudes and so on. Yeah, different types of attitudes or activities which we as devotees, aspiring devotees, we should avoid. So the other day, Friday, we read about the Kaliya serpent who represents the anatha, the unwanted and in fact very detrimental type of attitude, you could say, which is one of criticizing other devotees. Yeah, and sometimes, well, I did mention, sometimes it's a little subtle, not too subtle, but a little. Someone is going to criticize a devotee to you, but they want to get your attention so that you're really listening when they start their actual criticism. So they start by saying something nice about whoever it is they want to criticize, because then your heart opens up a little and you feel, oh, this is interesting, something nice. But then comes the famous word. What is the famous word? But. Yes. What would you say in Hindi? Lekin. That's like Islamic Hindi. But real Sanskrit Hindi would be kintu. But. So, oh, he's such a nice devotee, and you think, oh, that's good. And then, but, then comes the poison. So that was coming up this evening. Well, let's see how it goes in terms of time. But we will try to have a look at very interesting demon and very interesting anartha. The demon is Dhenukasura, and the anartha it's a big one, the mode of ignorance, becoming influenced or affected by ignorance, which sort of can happen or influence you in different ways. It doesn't mean you just become sort of ignorant exactly. But, mode of ignorance includes anger, frustration, things like that. So, therefore, devotees, what we will do, we will begin by reading a verse and purport from the Srimad Bhagavatam, from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 15, which is titled The Killing of Dhenuka, the Ass Demon. And we will read, looks like verse 6. And just before we get into it, tell me, because you're knowledgeable devotees, this is what I've been told by reliable sources. So tell me, how did Krishna kill Dhenukasura? She's spinning her head around. So you think Krishna killed Dhenukasura by spinning him around? Is that the idea? What do you think? How does that sound? Krishna killed Dhenukasura by spinning her around? Well, devotees, the answer is wrong. Why? Because Krishna didn't kill Dhenukasura. It was Lord Balaram, actually. Don't mind me. We're being a bit tricky. So, okay, here we go. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So yes, translation. And now this was Lord Krishna speaking to Lord Balaram. personality. These bees, which bees? Well, there were some bees flying around Lord Gabarone, like they're attracted to him. So as Krishna is saying, these bees which are buzzing around you must all be great sages and most elevated devotees of yours, for they are worshipping you by following you along the path and chanting your glories, which are themselves a holy place for the entire world. Though you have disguised yourself within this forest, O sinless one, they refuse to abandon you, their worshipable Lord. So that's Lord Krishna expressing appreciation and glorifying Lord Balaram. So let us read the purport and Srila Prabhupada's purport. Is that right? No. This is chapter 15. And Prabhupada only did up to the end of 13. Right, okay, anyway, purport. The word Gudha is significant in this verse. It indicates that although the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his form of Krishna or Balaram, appears like an ordinary human being within the material world, great sages always recognize the Lord as the supreme absolute truth. All the transcendental forms of Godhead are eternal and full of bliss and knowledge, exactly the opposite of our material bodies, which are temporary and full of misery and ignorance. One meaning of the word tirtha is, quote unquote, the means for crossing beyond material existence, unquote. Simply by hearing the glories of the Supreme Lord, or by chanting them, one immediately comes to the spiritual platform beyond material existence. Thus, the Lord's transcendental glories are here described as a tirtha for everyone in the world. The word Gayanta indicates that great sages give up their vows of silence and other selfish processes to glorify the activities of the Supreme Lord. Real silence means to not speak nonsense, to limit one's verbal activities to those sounds, statements, and discussions relevant to the loving service of the Supreme Lord. The word anarga indicates that the Supreme Lord never performs sinful or offensive activities. The word also indicates that the Lord immediately excuses a sin or offense committed by a sincere loving devotee who may accidentally deviate from the Lord's service. If you were here last night, some of you were, you may remember that story we read at the end about Rupa Goswami, the unknowing offense. Yes, so sometimes a devotee may just somehow or other, not intentionally at all, but just somehow or other, get a little confused or may just make a mistake and commit an offense. But then the Lord, Prabhupada says, or Prabhupada does say elsewhere, the Lord immediately excuses a sin or offense committed by a sincere loving devotee who may accidentally deviate from the Lord's service. In the specific context of this verse, the word anarga indicates that Lord Balaram was not disturbed by the bees, who were constantly following him, anupatam. The Lord blessed them by saying, "O bees, come into my confidential grove and feel free to taste its fragrance." phones turned off, please? Let me tell you, I have all these people. I find them amusing little stories. When we do our Sunday programs or, like bigger programs in Durban, and, if I'm doing it, then suddenly there I am starting to talk about whatever the subject is, but then a cell phone rings. Then you know what I say? I say, next cell phone which rings, we will confiscate and sell to defray expenses. Which is just a joke, but anyway, it's meant to get through to them. So I did that, and then I started off in my little presentation, and about 2 minutes into my presentation, guess what happened? My cell phone rang. Oh. Life. I guess it must have been Krishna teaching me. Don't be a smart aleck. Yes, so I'll just read the translation again. And remember, this is Lord Krishna speaking. Glorify Lord Gabarone. O original personality, these bees must all be great sages and most elevated devotees of yours, for they are worshipping you by following you along the path and chanting your glories, which are themselves a holy place for the entire world. Though you have disguised yourself within this forest, O sinless one, they refuse to abandon you, their worshipable Lord. Namo Shivaya Krishna Krishna Uttare Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Name. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharya Nirvishesha Shundavadi Pastichade Shatane Vajraptra Vistagri Sindhupya Evacha Palitana Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Vrindavan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Right, okay. So just one little point I can make either way is that here Lord Krishna is saying to Lord Gabarone that these bees which are buzzing around you, and they're attracted to you, they must all be great sages and elevated devotees of yours. So we may think, someone may think that this is sort of just a colourful sort of idea, because they're bees, and bees are just bees, they're just little creatures, and how can they be great sages and elevated devotees? But in the commentaries on this verse, and like there's a series of verses actually, Krishna is speaking, glorifying Lord Gabarone in these types of ways. So there, our acharyas say that actually those bees they're actually great sages and elevated devotees, but they have taken, it's more like it is their eternal rasa, their eternal relationship with Lord Krishna, to be bees. And you might think that, eternally be a bee. Would that be, how would that be? What do you think? And I mentioned the other day somewhere, it was in Lithuania, one devotee came to Prabhupada once and said, trying to express humility, and said, Srila Prabhupada, I am just the most fallen. Well, there are two stories actually. And Prabhupada, in one of them, the first one, Prabhupada says, well, actually, you are not the most anything. You are just insignificant. Because to be the most fallen, you've got to really try hard. Because there's a lot of competition for that position. Irani Kashipu, Ravana, people like that, how are you going to compete with them? So Prabhupada said, actually you're not the most anything, you're just insignificant. But then another time, and even ourselves sometimes we may feel like that. So we should understand we're not really the most fallen. We are just sort of, you could say, normal fallen, kind of average fallen, nothing special fallen. So no claim to fame for being the most fallen. But then the other time when devotee approached Srila Prabhupada and said, Srila Prabhupada, I'm just so useless. I think that when I go back to Godhead, I'll probably just be a blade of grass. And his idea being just some useless something. Prabhupada responded, you would be so fortunate. Because a blade of grass in Goloka Vrindavan is way above either being Lord Rama or Lord Shiva. Way above. Right, so anyway. So let's have a look at this pastime a bit, and then have a look at something to do with the anartha of being influenced by ignorance. So this pastime actually takes place on the Gopastami day. I assume some of you would know when Gopastami is. It is the last or the second Astami in Kartik. Astami means 8th day of the moon. So it is the last, the second one, which is the last Astami in Kartik. What day is it today? It is Dwadasi. Because yesterday was Kartik. Eka Das, 11, Das is 10. Eka Das is 1 plus 10 is 11. But now this is Dwadasi, means the 12th day of the moon. Right, so here we are, devotees, and Krishna has just turned 6. So he's just a young boy. And, well, the cows, Krishna previously, from about his 3rd birthday, Krishna was taking out the calves, the baby cows. But now, just right around now, Krishna has been allowed to take out the actual cows, the sort of adult animals. And there were a number of reasons why. One, which is stated by our acharyas, is that the cows were insisting to go out with Krishna. They were insisting, yes, because a few years before when Krishna was 3, they were calves. But now they're more or less adult animals. And they just want to go out with Krishna again. So they would not go out without him. And I don't know if any of you or many of you are from cow herding backgrounds. Any cow herds here? Oh, we have one.
My uncle.
Oh, in Gujarat. Surat. Ah, okay. Kemcha. So the cows, well anyway, if you know anything about cows need exercise. Shri Shri Krishna Gabarone Ki Jai. Now, devotees have to appeal to our big authorities. Is it okay if I carry on? Because I've just started actually. Is it okay? No, you're not opposed? Too much? Okay. So let's carry on then. Right. Yes, cows need exercise. At least it's best if they get exercise. I mean, some people, they just keep them in like a restricted little sort of pen type of situation. But actually it's best for them to get exercise. So now Maharaj wanted these cows to get out and get some exercise, but they wouldn't go without Krishna. So he had to let Krishna herd the cows. Yes, so out they go, Krishna and Balaram, and the cowherd boys. And there are many things we can say actually, but we will save them until next time. Next time, Hare Krishna will do next time prayers. That next time we come, because next time we come, we are going to go through this entire seminar on the Venas of Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes and the numbers they represent. It's nice that the pastimes are there, which are often quite colourful and, enjoyable. But then you learn something, some lessons are there. So it's not just like entertainment. So it was already mentioned that there were trees, fruit trees, which were just full of fruit. So their branches were being pulled down practically to the ground. This is one of the other verses. And so then Lord Krishna says to Balaram, just see, these trees are your devotees. And now, their branches are down, touching the ground. They're offering obeisances to you. Like the whole day. What do you think? The whole day. Every day for days or weeks even. What do you think about offering obeisances for a week? How does that sound? Anyway, that's what they were doing. In fact, yes, so the peacocks were dancing out of joy. The deer, the female deers, were giving Lord Balaram sidelong glances like the gopis give Krishna and Balaram. Did I ever with you? I suspect I did. Do the thing like the demonstration of a sidelong glance. I didn't. Yeah, where have you been? So anyway, I will demonstrate. The thing is that Krishna and Balaram, when they come back from herding the cows in like the early evening, late afternoon, then everybody comes out to greet them, including all the gopis, the young cowherd girls, who just love Krishna and Balaram transcendentally. And all they want to do, those young girls, is just stare at Krishna and Balaram, because they're just so beautiful, and they just exude so much love and affection. But they can't, because being good girls, or not just being good girls, but their parents being good parents, they are watching them to see that you girls, you don't look at the boys, all right? You don't look at the boys. gopis, they have to look very quickly. They're here, the parents are over there, some Krishnas over there. They have to look very quickly. So the parents don't see their eyes going and coming back. You get the idea? Right, so I've practiced it. So you watch. We're going to say that Keshavananda Prabhu is one of the gopis. That's okay. Yeah. And one of you over there is another of one of these gopis, watching like a hawk. Is my daughter going to sneak a peek at Krishna or Gabarone? Right, so she has to go very, very quickly, there and back, so fast the mother will not see that it has happened. Okay, you're with me? So you've got to watch my eyes, okay? Because I'm going to look at Keshavananda Prabhu and then back, sort of like have this empty white seat here, so quickly that you will not be able to see my eyes turn and come back. Okay, you get the idea? Okay, so now I'm looking straight ahead, being a good girl. Okay, now so watch my eyes. Did you see that? You didn't see it, did you? You were very fast. I'm confused. I'm sorry, I should play games. If you didn't figure it out, I didn't actually look at it. But that's how fast they do it. It's called a sidelong glance. All right. Anyway, so they're there. And what happens is that they are out there herding the cows, but they're now moving past Talavan. Talavan, if you're not familiar with Rajmandal and where the different features of the area are, you probably wouldn't know where Talavan is, but it's just a little south, more or less, of Govardhan Hill. Right, and it's one of the main forests, there are 12 main forests. So Talavan means a forest of tal trees, or tal palm trees, which have a certain type of fruit. Right, so it was, what did we say? It was, Gopastami means it's like November. It's Kartik, late Kartik. So it's sometime in November, and that is the time that in India many fruit trees are giving their fruits. So that forest, Krishna and the cowboys and Gabarone and the cows, they're passing by, and the fruit trees are just, they're just full of fruits. And the aroma is just spreading out away from the forest. So some of the cowherd boys suggested to Krishna and Gabarone that could you come with us into Talavan so we can pick some fruits to offer, because we're feeling hungry, and so we want to pick fruits so we can eat them. Interesting point. The thing is, they are pure devotees of the highest order. So what they want to go and pick the fruits offer them to Krishna and Balaram. That's what they want to do. But they know if they tell Krishna and Balaram, we want to go and pick the fruits and offer them to you, Krishna and Balaram will say, no, don't worry. We have our lunch boxes, so we have enough. So just don't worry about it. Because Krishna and Balaram, they have these unlimited transcendental lunch boxes. They look like the sort of box, if you were like me, that my mother put a few sandwiches in and sent me to school with many years ago. And maybe you also had such a lunch box. So they look like that. But in those lunch boxes, there is every type of sabji and samosa and kachori and pakora and dokra and rice and dal and puris and rotis and every time you can imagine a menu you can't imagine. And sweets. What was I introduced to the day before yesterday? What was it? Something birthing.
Besan birthing.
Besan birthing. Never met it before. I was introduced yesterday by Tulsi Priya and David Desna. Besan birthing, or just besan laddu, or just ordinary birthing and sandesh and rasgula rasmalai and what? Oh, and gulab jamans. Wow. The other day here, I had the biggest gulab jamun in history. And it was very nice. And others, let's not get into it too much, but all these types of foodstuffs and many others in the sort of ordinary lunchbox, sort of like that, by that type of thing. But you open it up and you just find 100 types of sabjis or more, because they're transcendental lunchboxes. So therefore the colored boys said, because they knew Krishna and Balaram would refuse if they said, we want to go pick some fruit off them to you. So they said, we want to eat. So will you come with us and help us to get some fruit so we can eat it? Because they know that Krishna and Balaram love their devotees. So if the devotee feels that he or she needs something, the Lord is there. The Lord will see that the devotee gets it. So that's what they did. It's like very strategic devotional service. Very clever. So then they went into the forest. And the thing was, all the fruit trees were full of ripe fruits. But no one was picking them, or even no birds were eating them. They're all just hanging on the trees until they fell to the ground and just rotted. Because, devotees, in that forest of Tala was this demon, Devakasura. And he is, like we said, he represents and embodies tamaguna, or ignorance. And being envious and nasty is part of being in tamaguna, in the mode of ignorance. So even though he would not eat fruit, he didn't eat fruit, but he wouldn't let anybody else have that fruit. This is enviousness, nasty mentality. And if anyone came in, even if birds came flying in, he was a big donkey, he would kill them and not let anyone Krishna, Balaram, the cowherd boys, and the cows, and Lord Balaram, the cowherd boys became attracted to the tal trees. It's a type of palm tree. It's like a classic palm tree, you could say. And it has fruit, like white fruits, they're sort of maybe this size, something like that. Which are not like, high-level fruits, but still, delicate, edible. So they wanted to eat them. Lord Balaram grabbed hold of a tall palm tree and shook it, so the fruits would come falling down, and they did, because he shook it so violently, devotees, the whole planet shook. The whole planet, from Vrindavan to Botswana and the UK and America, the whole planet just shook. So if you were able to find an old newspaper from 5,000 years ago, you might find that report. Today, nobody knows what happened, but the whole place shook. Right, so now, Denikasura, this donkey demon, he was sleeping nearby. People who are in Taliban and road of ignorance, sleeping is one of their favorite pastimes. When they wake up on Sunday morning, and first of all they think, oh gosh, I've got to get up and go to work. But then they think, wait a minute, it's Sunday. Oh, I can sleep in. Wonderful. Means they're in the mode of ignorance. They're attracted to sleeping. It's like a real favorite activity. So he was sleeping just not too far away. Big donkey demon. And suddenly he's sort of bouncing around and being thrown around because of the shaking. So he thought that, who is the rascal who's come into my forest? And so what he did, he went running off to attack whoever it was Lord Balaram. But before he did that, he made a very ugly donkey sound. Would someone just imitate what would a real, ugly, Tomasic donkey sound like? Oh, come on. You're too much in the mode of goodness. Come on, do a demo. A donkey sound. Alright, anyway, so you get the idea at least. So, right. So he came racing over, and then there's Krishna and the cowherd boys, and there's Balaram, who's still holding on to the big tree she was just shaking. So Denikasura decided, I'm going to get this boy, this white-skinned boy, I'm just going to get him. So he came racing with Lord Balaram, spun around in front of him, and kicked Lord Balaram with his rear legs. Then he turned around, Denikasura turned around, expecting to see Lord Balaram on the ground, just knocked out. But there was Lord Balaram hurry on. What's happening today? And this is nothing. This is just nothing for Lord Balaram. And then Lord Balaram grabbed him by his rear legs, because he had kicked with his rear legs, and threw him, devotees, 12 kilometers. Don't underestimate Lord Gabarone, whatever you do. And he landed on his head, Denikasura, bang. And he fell unconscious. But then he got up again and came running over again. And I was running over and he said, well, that white-skinned boy, he's pretty tough. Let me attack some of the other boys who are there with him. So he came racing over to attack some of the cowboy boys. Little did he know that the cowboy boys are more or less as strong as the Lord. So, interesting description from Garga Samhita. He came running over, he came running first of all at Sridham, who's Radharani's brother. Sridham hit him with a stick, whack, which really shook him up. Then Subal punched him in the face, which knocked him to the ground. And he's thinking, wow, who are these boys? But he got up again and went towards Stoker Krishna. Stoker Krishna whipped him with a rope. Then there's a cowherd boy named Arjuna. It is not the Arjuna. Shri Krishna Balaram, Shri Gaurita, Shri Jagannath Baladev, Jai. Is it? Well, I'm almost there. So don't panic, okay? We'll have a little kirtan at the end. Right, okay, so there's a cowherd boy named Arjuna. Not the Arjuna, not Bhagavad Gita Arjuna. Arjuna is sort of a popular name. So there's this cowherd boy Arjuna, and one of his friends is Ansu. The two of them picked up Denikasura above their heads and held him on the ground, which just smashed Denikasura. Now he's a bit bewildered. Then Vishal, another cowherd boy, and Rishabha, they took a run up. They came running up and kicked him. And just about knocked his block off. Then another boy contagiously jumped on top of him and started strangling him. Then another boy named Devaprastha came over and slapped him. Bang! And there was one small boy called Varutava. Small boy. Maybe just a bit bigger than Balaram here. So, he wanted to get into the action, but he didn't really know what to do. He had a ball, so he just ran over and threw the ball at Denikasura, which hit him on the head. So Denikasura, wow, he is really shaken up, poor old Denikasura. Then Lord Krishna came, devotees. Listen to this. Lord Krishna picked him up and threw him onto Govardhan Hill. And Denikasura was unconscious for 1 hour. Then Denikasura got up and came running over, grabbed Krishna with his horns, and flew into the sky. Devotees, 1.2 million kilometers. But Krishna punched him and threw him to the ground for 1.2 million kilometers, which knocked him unconscious. He must have an extremely hard head. So, but then he got up again. Now, devotees, brace yourselves. Are you ready? Fasten your seatbelts. Don't stand up. Denikasura then picked up Govardhan Hill and threw it at Krishna. But Krishna caught it and threw he thought, all right, that white-skinned boy, the first one, let me attack him again. So he ran at Lord Gabarone, and he didn't turn around and try and kick him with his bare legs. He just sort of tried to trample over the top of him, Lord Gabarone. And Lord Gabarone caught him by his two front hooves with one hand, whirling them around, and threw him onto the top of one of the tall trees, which knocked it over onto the next tall tree, which fell onto the next tall tree, which fell onto the next tall tree. So it's like a domino effect. So then some of his friends came and attacked Krishna and Gabarone, but they got smashed. Right, so then devotees, listen to this, are you ready? Leaving his body, Devaka manifested a splendid and handsome dark form, wearing yellow garments and decorated with a forest flower garden. Then a chariot filled with 100,000 of the Lord's associates, decorated with 1,000 flags, pulled by 10,000 horses, 8 miles, 12 kilometers long, traveling as fast as the mind, suddenly appeared. And then the demons circumambulated Krishna and Gabarone, and filling the directions with light, he got onto the chariot and went to Goloka Vrindavan. Hare Krishna. Isn't that amazing? Yes. So, we don't want to keep you too long, because prasadam takes precedence. But let's say a couple of things about ignorance. Well, there's one interesting story I can just refer you to. It's a story about Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, that one time, one American scholar who was studying at the Varanasi Hindu University came to meet Srila Bhaktisiddhanta at Mayapur to ask him some questions. So he approached Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, but Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, you know what, I'm busy. I'll see you in a little while, but for the time being, you see those boys, or you could say, you see those girls over there making garlands, well, these boys were actually cleaning the deity paraphernalia of the brass. Why don't you go and ask them? Yeah, go and ask them, and I'll see you shortly. So there was a big scholar, he thought, you know, I'm a big scholar. And here these are young boys, like 18, 19, 20 years old. And I'm here with my big questions, and he wants me to ask these little boys, what is this? But anyway, he said, oh, okay. So off he went, and he asked them, and they said, well, we're busy cleaning the arati paraphernalia. Can you help us? And then we'll finish more quickly and we'll answer your questions. And the man thought, oh, now they want me to work. So he cleaned some paraphernalia and he helped out. He helped out for a while, and then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta came and said, okay, I'm ready now, please come. And you can ask me your questions. And the man said that, you know, while I was helping these boys, cleaning the arati paraphernalia, the answers just came Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janaya Vyasudhaya Jnana Chayat Ahotika. If you render devotional service, then knowledge and renunciation or knowledge and detachment just arise in your heart on the basis of your performing devotional service. Yes, so it's a very interesting thing that we are, with all due respect, we're certainly coming from ignorant backgrounds, and even, we're prone to ignorance anyway. But if of course we must read Prabhupada's books that will help us get out of ignorance, but if we simply render service in a humble spirit, Krishna within the heart will reveal so many things to us. So this is kind of like the basis, how we as aspiring devotees can start getting out of ignorance. And plus, reading the books helps tremendously. There was another scholar who came to us with questions, and a similar situation arose. And Srila Prabhupada, Srila gave him an explanation of the Das Avatar. I assume you know who the Das Avatar of Lord Vishnu are. If Prabhuji knows, he's a young man, all you adults must know. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta gave like a really complicated explanation, because his use of English was extremely complicated. If you think my English is complicated, which you probably don't, but it's like my English is like a child's English compared to his. Just try reading Ramasumita. So he gave this very sophisticated understanding of the Das Avatar to this man. And then he asked the man, what do you think of that? How do you find my explanation? And the man said, I'll have to think about it. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said to him, no, don't think about it with your material mind. Hear about it from devotees. Because if you think about these transcendental topics with your little materially conditioned mind, you're going to get about the avatars, you're going to get so many mixed up ideas that you'll be worse off than when you started. So don't think about it, but hear about it from devotees. Because if you hear about it from devotees, there are, at least two special features. One is, of course, you get the right information. You get the right information, which is very little likelihood of getting just out of your head. And the second thing is that there is a transcendental potency in the words of the devotees, particularly the advanced devotees. There's real transcendental potency. And that potency will help you to understand things which otherwise are beyond the scope of material consciousness. So there are many things we could say about getting out of ignorance, but those are two very important things. And we should consider them and apply those understandings. And that offer a question or comment? TK? Any comment, question? Anybody like to say something? Yes, Tulsi Priya. Loud and clear.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. You had mentioned that we shouldn't just be thinking of our own accord, but after we hear either a class or we hear somebody speaking, is it okay to then meditate or think about what we've heard, or is it more so about don't think about something you're not aware of or you don't have a full understanding of?
Yeah, well, it's more like that we shouldn't speculate. You know, we should think about, consider the points we hear from the devotees or read from Prabhupada's books, for example. So we should consider those things and think about them from different points of view, but not go into some speculation. But rather, if we want to really explore a particular topic which we've read about, a good way of exploring is to discuss with devotees. And Prabhupada says that devotees, in that regard, they're like professors. In a university, you've got all the professors in a particular field. So they get together and they discuss what is there in their field. And in that way, they expand each other's understanding. I mean, of course, professors, it's the principle of the saying that we should get together with other devotees. And I more or less mentioned it last night, I think. Like over prasadam, for example, and just say, look, I read this such and such, and it seems to be like this and that, and what do you think? And then you can get into a transcendental discussion. How does that sound? Hare Krishna. Oh, yes, please.
I just, you mentioned that Devasur and Krishna were throwing over the hill,
Right.
backwards and forwards. Did the Brajvasis not notice that and wonder what is going on and come and attend to, what is going on?
The cowboy boys.
No, the
Who?
Brajvasis.
Oh, the Brajvasis.
Yes.
No. It's just Krishna having fun. Because, Krishna would kill these monstrous demons. And Krishna lifted Gurva down a hill and held it for 7 days and 7 nights. And they didn't really think, hey, what's going on here? Little boy, big hill, this is just impossible. They didn't think that. But the older cowherd men, like the fathers, they thought, hey, there's a big hill and he is a small boy. Maybe we should help him because, we are men. But they didn't think, wait a minute, this is just impossible. What on earth is going on here? No, they just thought, yeah, small boy, big hill, and we're big, strong men, let's help them. So they pushed they have not exactly walking sticks, but sticks for controlling the cows, directing the cows. They pushed their sticks under the hill, and they said to Krishna, okay, relax, take a break. We've got the hill, no problem. So Krishna said, really? Yeah, really, just take a break, have a rest. And Krishna said, all right, so I'll just let some of the weight come over on your side. So then now they're trying to hold the hill, but now the hill starts coming down because Krishna is not really holding it. And down, and down, suggesting or thinking the average person would think. And there are many situations like that. Krishna does these superhuman things. But as far as the bridge buses are concerned, it's all just, Krishna does things like that. Is that okay? It's Yogamaya. Yogamaya covers their intelligence. Okay. Yes, Prabhu, loud and clear.
Thank you so much. Not really connected to the story, but when you mentioned your phone went off in class, you felt maybe Krishna's trying to teach me a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
In situations in life, how do we know that this is maybe a lesson that we should be learning, or is it something else? Is it a message from Krishna, or is it something else?
Well, the thing is, did you hear that? The thing is this, for devotees, basically whatever happens in their lives, they take to be Krishna's intervention. Even if they do something stupid themselves, and of course when you do something stupid, then normally, there'll be some result, some bad result. If you do something really stupid, back your car into a lamppost or into another car or something like that. So the devotee will take that, even something like that. I did something stupid. The devotee will take it that Krishna is teaching me to be more attentive and careful, because he is. And he's teaching me that actually I'm stupid, which I am, which we all are. And you're all very nice, but we're all stupid at the same time. Sure, you bet your life. Yeah. So, of course, if the devotee deviates, well, being Krishna conscious, but then they sort of go a bit off track, then Krishna will send like wake-up calls. And hopefully the devotee will understand, this is Krishna telling me, get back on track. So the thing is, just in general, for a devotee, someone who's trying to practice seriously, that actually, whatever happens in their life, not just that they say, it was Krishna, like it's like a spontaneous reaction, but actually it is Krishna in one way or another. Krishna is always interacting with the devotees, and usually, or if not always, interacting in sort of educational ways to help us understand more clearly how to be devotees and what's wrong with not being a devotee, how not being a Krishna devotee is wrong, is bad for us. I would say that's the basic idea. Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So, leading to what he said, say for instance, I parked my car into somebody else's car behind me, and the person there is not there. So, should I leave a message on his windscreen saying this is the person who bumped?
Or should you get away with
Or should I get away? So, I would suggest that I would do that. But what if I get away? Do I get another lesson coming to me?
Krishna will catch up with you, don't worry. So it's probably better to be more honest. Yeah, because, cheating and thieving. So Prabhupada did say that sort of activity, like stealing for Krishna, it may be possible for very elevated devotees. to sort of normal devotees, that means us, we shouldn't really do like that. Yeah. I mean, it's a slightly complex subject, because Prabhupada said that if someone is trying to cheat us, we're doing something for Krishna, but the person we're doing it with tries to cheat us, means cheat us of Krishna's money, then Prabhupada did say we should become bigger cheats. We shouldn't just let the person get away with it. But otherwise, in general, we should be honest. And in fact, Prabhupada Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said that in the future, people will think of devotees, that these people are like first-class gentlemen and gentle ladies, not like, cheats, tricky cheats. Yeah. I mean, actually, an interesting little point, but in America particularly, back in the 70s, the devotees adopted, it was like more or less a universal practice amongst a few hundred devotees, or maybe more, who were doing book distribution on the streets. They adopted a tricky and like cheating type of strategy for getting more money from the people. So the strategy is called the change-up. That someone takes the book and then you say, please give a donation, and they say, okay, and they put their hand in their pocket, and you say, well, look, I've got a lot of change, could you give me a big note, and I'll give you change? And they say, yeah, okay. So maybe they give you $100 bill, and then the devotee would give them, say, $1 back. Actually, normally people may give $10 for the book. So the devotee gives $1 back. Says, is that okay? Is that all right? And of course, it's not all right. And oh, okay, here's another $1. And then maybe not quite on that scale, but maybe the person gives $20 for what someone would normally give 10 for. So they give $1, then another, and eventually you get maybe $16 or $17 from the person, but the person is not happy. They feel cheated, and they have been cheated actually. So our movement in America in the 70s it was, the devotees are everywhere distributing books all over the United States. Really big, particularly in those days. And everybody was meeting a devotee, at least once a month. Just practically the whole American population. And everyone got to understand that the Hare Krishnas are cheats. Oh, yeah. And it became a really bad thing. We got a bad name. We got more money, which always helps, but at the expense of losing our reputation. And so eventually the devotees understood we just can't do this. We have to stop. So they did stop, and now it took time for the public to change their opinion that actually Hare Krishnas are nice people, honest people. And so we can take something, give a donation, and we're not going to be harassed. You get the idea? Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Yes, so, devotees, what's the time? Oh, the night is young. It's only 10 to 8. So, what should we do? Instruct yourself. Oh, we should do kirtan. blessed day.